Today, rescue efforts continue in Texas days after Hurricane Harvey made landfall. Teams airlifted people to safety in flood-ravaged parts of the state on Thursday as firefighters and volunteers went door to door searching for others in need of help. Flash flood watches are now in effect in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio as Harvey moves east. Vice President Mike Pence got a first-hand look at the affected town of Rockport, Texas yesterday. Pence says President Trump will travel to Houston on Saturday to tour the damage there. The president visited Texas earlier in the week and has pledged $1 million of his own money to help recovery efforts. Here at Q2 and at all of our MTN stations across the state, we're joining forces with our parent company, Cordillera Communications. The campaign is called Give to the Gulf. All money raised will go to the Coastal Bend Disaster Recovery Group, which serves 7 of the hardest hit counties along the Gulf. To speed up donations and relief efforts, MTN and stations and Cordillera will match up to $50,000. You can visit the KGVQ website or Facebook page to find a link to donate. In the wake of Hurricane Harvey, people all across the country are doing what they can to help out. Mary Cole, a nurse in the Billings Clinic NICU, is on her way to Houston as hospital staffers enter days without any relief. While much of Houston remains underwater, many nurses cannot leave the hospital, and many of those who could relieve them simply can't get there. Cole made the decision after seeing a plea for NICU nurses. She flew out of Billings Thursday afternoon to meet 25 other nurses from around the country.
Thought of other nurses working, really long hours. I've done it before, nothing like they have, but I can only imagine the stress that they're under, and to know that they need help and that I have help to offer. If it worked out for me and my family so easily, I just felt like I had no choice but to go and help.
Cole says the 25 nurses will meet in Austin, where they will be picked up by the National Guard and taken into Houston. She will be there for 2 weeks and will work as much as possible. Turning to fire watch, nearly 2,000 acres of land along Highway 87 north of Billings was burned in a matter of hours on Thursday. At least 5 fires started from mile marker 7 to out past mile marker 21. Crews attacked the flames from the ground and from the air. The Shepherd fire chief said it's possible a vehicle was dragging a chain that started the fires. Yellowstone County Disaster and Emergency Services Director Brad Shoemaker says the flames came close to a ranch, but no structures were damaged.
Smoke everywhere, getting in your lungs, It's just what you do for neighbors, though.
When we got out here, we didn't realize the extent of the fire. I came in, I attacked we're calling this the southern edge. I attacked the southern edge, and Jeff Brown took over the coordination for the firefighting effort on the northern edge. And we just got done doing a 360 around it, and the 2 fires have joined at on the eastern edge.
This fire here did get close to one ranch house, and it damaged some equipment that was sitting out in the field. But the firefighters were able to kind of intervene with the equipment, so it didn't get to be extensive damage, and the ranch house was saved from their efforts. So they did a wonderful job.
Shoemaker says crews remained on scene overnight to monitor the hot spots. At least 8 other fires are actively burning in southeast Montana. The Sarton Draw fire in Powder River County has burned 45,000 acres. It's burning on U.S. Forest Service land about 35 miles northwest of Broadus. Federal, state, and county resources are on scene. Meanwhile, Glacier National Park has lost one of its most historic structures. The main structure of the Sperry Chalet was taken by a fire that's been burning on the east side of Lake McDonald since August 10th. Winds pushed the fire to the east, creating an uncontrollable burn that took the structure. The 5 firefighters battling the fire are safe and are still in the area, actively fighting the fire in an attempt to protect the 4 remaining structures. No other firefighters have been sent because it's too dangerous to place any additional firefighters in the area. The chalet opened in 1914 and was listed as a National Historic Landmark. The smoke-filled air is making it difficult for some to breathe. The Department of Health and Human Services says an N95 mask offers some protection. According to the Health Department, smoke from wildfires is a mixture of gases and fine particles from burning trees and other plant materials. It also states that smoke and particulate matter can irritate eyes or your respiratory system and irritate heart and lung diseases. One Billings woman tells us without the mask, she wasn't going outside.
I couldn't go out of my house. couldn't go feed my birds or anything because I could taste the smoke in the air, and I couldn't see but about 8 blocks from my house. Once I got this, by then I was able to do pretty much whatever I would want to within reason.
The masks help take out particulate particles in the air, help prevent the smoke from going into the lungs. Obviously, the best thing to do if the smoke is a problem is to stay inside with the windows closed and turn the air conditioner on.
Users of the masks say they do make it harder to breathe, so it's recommended that you check in with a doctor if you have serious heart or lung disease. The state health department says the smoky conditions could linger for about another month. In news from Wyoming now, the Powell man accused of killing his wife claims his wife was mentally ill and asked him to pull the trigger. But the couple's son says his mother, 65-year-old Shirley Williamson, was not suicidal. 64-year-old David Williamson made his initial court appearance earlier this week and was charged with second-degree murder. Williamson was arrested early Sunday morning after authorities found his wife dead. Williamson told detectives his wife had been hearing voices and tried to shoot him with an unloaded gun the night of her death. When the weapon didn't fire, Williamson says he hit the weapon from her hand. The victim then allegedly told her husband to kill her. Now we go to Washington State, where settlement talks are underway in a utility rate case related to Montana's coal strip power plants. The case is for a requested electric rate increase in Washington by Puget Sound Energy. The company is a partial owner of the coal-fired power plants in eastern Montana. Sources say the proposed settlement will include language on paying for future costs from the eventual shutdown of coal strip plants 1 and 2. Attorney General Tim Fox's office chose not to file expert testimony in the case by a deadline last month and had some testimony stricken from the case record last week. But spokesman Eric Sell says the office is still involved with the case and is confident Montana's interest will be addressed. The proposed rate case settlement is expected to be filed in Washington State within 2 weeks. Coal strip plants 1 and 2 are scheduled to close by 2022. In other business news, the long vacant Hastings building on Grand Avenue will soon have a new resident. The owners of Ganann's Flower Shop will close their downtown and Billings West End stores at the end of this year and move into the vacant former Hastings spot at West Park Promenade. Ganann's plans to open into the new space in January of 2018. The Ganann's shops on North 30th Street and on 24th Street will close in December. The Ganann's Garden Center and retail operations in the Billings Heights will remain open. Ganann's has been locally owned and operated in Billings since 1951. I think that's a great location.